Hi, happy Saturday, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to my mental garden. My name is Crystal Turner, and this is my mental garden sessions that I am doing leading up to a 6 week Sacred Circle program that will be launching on July 22nd. And so I'm coming on here. It's been every Saturday that I've been coming on for the past month to talk about being sacred, our sacred circle, and what Sacred Circle represents, which is supporting people who are growing through the hardships that they've had in their past, particularly in their childhood, that show up in our current adult life and keep us from being joyful, keep us from having joy. So, my mental garden is a place where we are planting seeds for the growth that we want to see in our life. Because we've already been planting seeds, but they could have been seeds of low self esteem, seeds of unworthiness, seeds of lack of purpose. Or we could even have been planting seeds that other people have projected onto us, seeds that, we shouldn't feel that we can be accepted, seeds that we don't have what it takes. You understand what I'm saying? So when we're here in My Mental Garden, we're intentionally planting seeds. So what are the seeds that you want to plant? I want you to put that in the chat. What are the seeds that you want to plant for your own mental mindset, your well being, and ultimately for your life? And so for me today, I'm planting seeds of connection. I'm planting seeds of relationships that are flourishing. That is something that is very important to me. While there's so much that is important for me to do as an individual in my own personal healing to do that work, I also see the importance of having good people around you, people with good energy, people with good intentions, people who want to see you thrive, people who support you thriving, and people who you can pour into as well. Particularly when you filled yourself up, that you're able to then give to those same people who have been there for you. So, what seeds are you planting? What seeds would you love to plant in your life, even if you don't see them now or don't know how it would even come to be? That doesn't mean that we don't start. In fact, anything that we have in our life has to come from what we're planting in our mind first and what we're envisioning in our mind. So, what is it that you want to plant? What is it that you want to see grow in your life? Put that in the comment section, put that in the chat, and we are going to get started. So, today I'm really talking about when childhood wounds really hurt as an adult. You got those wounds as a child, but they're becoming more and more painful as you go through life. And this is not uncommon for someone who's experienced pain, have been wounded, who've dealt with struggles and hardship that they have not necessarily closed the door on or been able to really resolve. Another word that we could use is trauma. It's the word I really want to use today because in many situations we don't see our experiences as traumatic because we've normalized it. If it's something that you've experienced for a large portion of your life, it can become what you see as normal. But it doesn't mean that your body embraces it as what it should be. And we end up feeling a lot of things in the way we think and what we carry in our spirit and what we feel physically and emotionally based on those experiences that you've had. And so these things do show up in life. In fact, if I didn't mention in this video, I'm Crystal Turner. I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner in Chicago. I do a lot of community work and see a lot of people who live in Black communities or in urban communities who come into my office with a lot of emotional distress. And when I do an evaluation, which entails a lot of history that I get, there are so many people who are really dealing with unresolved hardships or traumas that bring them eventually into a doctor's office because they are experiencing symptoms that are so distressing that they don't really know what else to do. And so there are those people, and then there are people who haven't gotten to that point yet, but who are not thriving in life. They might literally be surviving and not feeling joy. And this is what I want to talk about. We don't have to get to the point that we are so desperate to need relief because we're in so much agony. We can recognize these patterns and trends that are already starting to happen in our life that we can notice are increasing in the level of discomfort that they give. And we're just not feeling happy. You know, if you are someone who feels like you go from 0 to 100 when you're in a disagreement with someone, or if you feel like when you're in a disagreement with someone, you avoid them or you try not to get in disagreements with people. You try to just do all the right things so that people will seemingly accept you. And I say seemingly accept you because if you're showing your real authentic person who wouldn't do all the things for the person, maybe they wouldn't accept you. So seemingly accept you for the purpose of peace and this illusion of harmony. But what ends up happening is inside your harmony is all torn apart. So we're talking about planting seeds so that we can be harmonious within ourselves first, so then that we can see harmony come to us in our outside world. And so again, in our adult life, we end up seeing a lot of those painful childhood experiences just reintroduce themselves and reintroduce themselves. They come up in so many different scenarios, whatever it is that you're really holding, you end up seeing it in so many different scenarios. Um, and one of those could be in how you're thinking. Like, so for some people, the real struggle that they have is having intrusive thoughts. These intrusive thoughts are thoughts that you don't want to think about, that you try to avoid thinking about, that you try to, distract and find other things to keep from thinking about it. But it can become really challenging, and those thoughts can really continue to come up for some people, and it can be distressing. It can really make it very hard to experience joy in the day because the very thing that you want to get away from that may have been hurtful, they come up in so many ways in your mind. And they can also come up in a person who has nightmares in their dreams, because that's where our subconscious part of us shows up, is in our dreams, in that sleep state. um, and so for many people who are dealing with intrusive thoughts, they can go to sleep and they can have these dreams, these nightmares that have an undertone of whatever the emotional pain is that they're experiencing or have experienced in the past. Some people have these nightmares most days of the week. And imagine that you're going to sleep, you want to get rest, but then when you sleep, you're having these disturbing dreams that remind you of your pain from the past. So for some people, it causes them to really have a difficult time sleeping, or you wake up in the morning starting right where you left off. Um, being introduced to these emotions because these dreams bring those emotions to you. For some people who deal with nightmares, they wake up with a racing heart, they wake up with night sweats, their dreams could wake them in the night, or they wake up in the morning, the first thing they remember is this very disturbing dream that starts the mode and the mode of your day. So intrusive thoughts is something that many people do experience. Also, dealing with the body and how these wounds show up in our body. For many people, when you deal with trauma or these emotional hardships that really take a toll, people can have higher levels of anxiety or nervousness. And for many people, they can have these somatic symptoms, meaning that you have the experiences in your body. Some people have it in their mind. You can have it in both, but some people have it in their mind. Some people can experience it in their body, dealing with a lot of body pain or body ache and not being able to find what's really the cause of you having that, or feeling exhausted and tired, no energy. Um, Having a upset stomach or emotional distress constantly. You know what I mean? Having headaches constantly. And for some people, dealing with this type of emotion is stress, right? It is a stress. When we're stressed, we release a chemical called cortisol. Cortisol is good when we really need it, when we're really in face of a threat. When we are releasing cortisol because we are stressed because of the things we're thinking about that we can't let go of because it's such a challenge, we're still releasing that hormone, and that hormone impacts our body. It decreases our immunity, and it makes us more susceptible to certain diseases, particularly diseases like fibromyalgia or irritable bowel syndrome. It's those diseases that are autoimmune diseases, which really is where the body is turning on itself and attacking itself. So when we don't deal with these experiences that we have, we can really harm ourselves physically. And we can first see those symptoms in just the way we feel physically. And then we want to talk about our spirit, how our energy is impacted when someone has impacted us in a way that violates who we really are at such a young age, where we can really take that on and really believe what these things are that people have projected onto us, or just what we begin to believe about ourselves based off of the experiences that you've had. And so, in your spirit, you could feel low, you could feel sadness, you could feel all types of mood fluctuations, which is a very common reason why a person comes in to see me in the clinic, because they feel so depressed, they feel so anxious, they feel so sad, they feel worthless, they feel not good enough, they feel afraid, a lot of fear, and so when we carry these emotions in our spirit, just understanding metaphysically, when we carry these emotions within us, we tend to see that on the outside. If we're walking in fear, then a lot of the time when we're looking outside of us and we see people, we see opportunities, we look at it from a lens of fear and the possible harm that we could experience, because we're basing it off of what we've experienced in the past. And so I use myself as an example because I've mentioned in the past that I've dealt with trauma from my childhood that really impacted the majority of my adulthood, until I really began to ask questions to the universe, to myself, that opened me up to start a path of healing and growing through and from those experiences. So for me, it was being raised in a home that had violence, that started my perception, and my perception of fear really started from those violent experiences that became regular in my home. And then also my social atmosphere, being in social situations where I didn't feel accepted. And I'm sure a lot of that came from me starting out already with this perception of fear. I began to fear relationships, and I envisioned the worst of relationships, and I began to experience those types of relationships. But having those two main dynamics being a very big part of my childhood, growing up, it opened my world up some, right? I did, grow into have different people in my life and different experiences. And, you grow from being in grammar school and the high schools and the home you were raised in, but you still take everything you learned from those places with you. And this is exactly what I did. I got into other environments. And the key thing that I noticed, no matter what environment I got into, I began to have those same perceptions, no matter what the scenario was, no matter who the people were. I always felt that there was going to be some type of doom or gloom that could come from it. When I looked at people, I wondered if I would be accepted by those people, and in my mind, I created these this level of fear about if I would be accepted. And so, even in the relationships I formulated, I didn't go into those relationships with power. I went into them feeling like the weakest link, and I'm sure I projected myself as that. And a lot of those relationships, unfolded that way. You know. When it came to opportunities, I oftentimes looked at opportunities with a sense of fear of, am I going to be good enough to do this? And it's a key way that you can really pay attention to yourself when you are in different scenarios with different people. Do the same emotions eventually start to develop within you and impacts how you are in those relationships and the experiences that you have? So fear and insecurity I took in a lot of my relationships and scenarios for my 20s and my 30s, and part of my 40s. And, I still do the work, and I have definitely come to have a higher self perception that has also shifted a lot of relationships that I have. It's shifted some relationships that I've left because I don't see myself in that low state anymore. So it's those people who I attracted when I saw myself in a low state who mirrored that, who confirmed that low state that I saw myself in. When I began to grow and have a higher perception of me, those relationships had to unravel and different relationships have come. And it was very interesting when you begin to do this work of growing and healing, how you're going to see relationships shift. And it's where I would say, ground yourself so that you can be ready to let go of things that really they might have become normal and you may have become accustomed to them, but they weren't the best for you. They also brought you pain, right? So be ready to be able to let go and watch those things unravel, and then be open with a new energy for the relationships that start coming your way, to make sure that you're not bringing that old state of who you were into the experiences that are trying to come after you've done this growth and this healing. That's a very important part of this, the energy shifts, and seeing how things switch up when you start to do your work and switch up, right? Um, it's one of those things that we do within the Sacred Circle program is we really talk about, you know, true situations that happen in life and understanding universal law and how we, as people who are part of nature, are also part of the universal laws. We're not set aside from them. We're part of it. So to see when we let go of resistance and we allow ourselves to be part of the way the world works, not the world that man has created, but the world that God has created, how we allow ourselves to be a part of it and flow with it. Understand those laws so that we can use them to our benefit. You can really see your life and acceptance in life in a different way, and how you mesh with life, and how you see how you have some power in life. You're not just a peon with no significance in this world. You have purpose. You're meant to be here for a purpose. It means you're relevant. And your relevance is seen beyond people, is seen from a universal standpoint that you have purpose here. And, you are special, because we all are special, but you're special in your own unique ways. And when we can begin to love ourselves and embrace ourselves by letting go and growing through the pain and redefining ourselves after someone has tried to define us in such a way, you can get to this point of loving yourself and loving what is unique about you and embracing it rather than running away from it or trying to hide your uniqueness. You want to let it shine. And so that was very much me. I had experiences in my childhood. They hit hard. They spoke deeply to who I felt I was, and I carried those perceptions with me into my adult life, and it did not feel good. It really hurt. Those wounds, I think, oozed more as an adult, as you're trying to come into your own as an adult and have relevance and have, the I don't go by this anymore, but you understand the American dream, some would say, is a nightmare because it's something so much more grand that we are than someone's definition of an American dream. But when you're in that point and you're trying to get to that and you're still carrying these perceptions of yourself that are not loving for you because it came from experience in the past that we're also not loving experiences, and we can believe the things that we're told or that we make about those situations, particularly how we believe about ourselves after them. And so you're walking into a life that you're trying to create for yourself when you have a belief of yourself that's so terrible. You can only create a life that's going to have some of those terrible ways of feeling and thinking enmeshed in it. So the real thing is to be able to redefine yourself, take away those experiences. Well, you can't take away the experiences, but take away your belief about who you are based on those experiences so that you can now self correct and get a real definition and concept of yourself that benefits you in this life. It's not about looking to someone else to give you the definition, because that's what gets us in trouble in the first place. And we give ourselves grace because as children, especially, we don't know any better. But, I think that one of the major parts of life is having hardship early and now, like, going through this life to remember who it is that you really are. And some people struggle with that challenge, but everyone has the ability to make it happen. But it's going to take knowing yourself more, being curious about you more than anything, and studying self more than anything, so that you can know the best things for you in this world, that help you operate to your maximum potential and you continue to grow in that. And so that's what I think, that's what it really takes, is this dedication to getting to know you. Because most of us, when we've dealt with emotional baggage or trauma, struggles in childhood, we don't really know ourselves. We know a version of ourselves that's functioning from that pain, and it's been, the authentic person that we are has been disrupted because of those experiences, and now we're trying to navigate life with protective and through protective measures so that we can survive. But what I am offering is more than just surviving, is to thrive. Because when we survive, it could look like running, it could look like hiding, it could look like panic, it could look like, think about someone who's in a horror film who is being chased by this monster, and you're surviving, but look how stressed you are in the midst of surviving that threat. When we're talking about thriving, it is, the feeling that you have when there is no more monster. Think about in the movie when the monster has been killed, it's been devoured. And now you're not trying to run from it anymore. You are at peace and you're breathing and you're just like peaceful and not looking over your shoulders anymore and relaxed and present. It's a difference, that survival way that we move through life and that way that we thrive. When we thrive, we're open, we are receiving even more than what we have presently, because we are now like pulling from the energy um, of, I would say, abundance. And we're on that other side of, hey, I know who I am and I want more of this to develop who it is I really am. Whereas when we're surviving, we are in lack and we don't feel like we have enough time, and we don't feel like we have enough safety, and we don't feel like we have enough help. And so we're suffering and we're panicked. And that's what the analogy is I would love to use when we talk about what it looks like to start growing through the pain that we've experienced in the past. So if that's you, if you feel that you want to start that journey, you might not know all of what it looks like, but you're ready to understand that you want to be at peace peace and you want to thrive and you want to be open to life and you want to have good experiences and experiences that make you smile, that speak to your heart, then that is what the Sacred Circle 6 Week program is about. We are being one with life, nature, the universe, universal principles, the creator, understanding that we have the ability to create within us, and that means that we start creating our life from a different lens of optimism. So if you are someone who has an interest in the Sacred Circle program, put in the chat sacred and I will connect with you. And I will be back starting Monday. I'll be coming on every day. Look for me because I'm not going to commit to a time, but I want to actually move around at different times just to see, who I capture in those moments. But every day starting Monday, I will be coming on live talking about different aspects of, how our emotional baggage shows up in our life, how it limits us, so that we can see ourselves and also see for ourselves what it is that we have the potential of embarking on. So, Sacred Circle 6 Week program starts July 22nd. If you're interested, put sacred in the comment section, and I will be back Monday. But in the meantime, have a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. All right. Toodles.